You may realize this or you may not realize this, but all of your choices right now, from fidgets to paying attention, every action that you take is being driven by your software. A lot of that software is unconscious. You're not even aware that it's operating you in this moment. The operating system that we bring to Horn is informed by what? Who programs our operating system when it comes to Horn?
Our emotions are a big driver, I think.
Our emotions are a big driver. Where do the emotions come from?
Learned experience and unwashed learned experience.
Yeah, yeah. Who programmed our operating system was our parents, our band directors, our first teachers, our immature, also possibly traumatized peers, our collective imprints and norms of society that we were born into and didn't choose. There's no reason to be angry about that, but let's be real about it. That most of us didn't choose to any substantial extent the software that drives our every single thought and choice. Talking about operating systems. Today, we're going to do some practice because this is called the operating system upgrade. You can't actually upgrade your operating system just through learning things, right? Information is one thing, motivation is another thing. We're looking for transformation and integration. And that requires really showing up and practicing. The way that we're going to practice is through first some mind training exercises and then through some application to horn playing. So be sure that you have your horn if that's possible for you to play, even if it's a silent mute or whatever. If you don't have your horn, that's fine. You can just imagine playing it and it'll be plenty effective. The first thing that we're going to do is just watch our breath go in our bodies and out of our bodies for one whole breath. I just want you to notice. So you can either pay attention at the nostrils to sense what the sensation is, or you can pay attention at the sternum or diaphragm or chest if you like that sensation more. So let's go ahead and take a conscious inhale. And then on your next inhale, just watch your breath. And I see some fidgeting. Interesting, already teaching us things. Now let's take this finger, and I just want you to watch my finger moving across the screen. Just track it. Notice what it's like to watch my finger. It's a quality of attention. It's that kind of watching that we want to bring to our breath. So let's do it again, but we're going to do it for 4 breaths. And just keep your mind's eye on the rhythm of your breath. If a thought comes, fine. Let it pass. Come back to watching the breath. Thoughts are natural. All right, let's go. Okay, that was 4 breaths for me. Curious if I could get a couple shares of what people noticed while watching their 4 breaths.
Well, I kind of know to be looking for this, but I made sure that my ribs were opening up in the back as well when I took the breath in nice and slowly,
Uh-huh.
and so that I can use all of my lungs and process all the carbon dioxide and oxygen in a good balance. Yeah.
Okay, so there was benevolent control happening. Yeah. Did anybody not control their breath? Heidi, what was that like for you?
It was all right. I was observing temperature changes on the in and the out.
Great. Heidi used a really good word, observing. There's a big difference between observing and controlling. And while there is a time to control, absolutely, this practice, what we're doing today, will, at this stage, will be more benefited from observing than controlling. So thank you, Sandy, for that, that teaching point. Now, who can describe the difference between perceiving and judging? Yeah.
I often want to share something I observe, and the person I'm talking to takes it as a judgment. And I always point out, I'm not judging, I'm not having an opinion, I'm just sharing what I see. I'm seeing it without an opinion and without emotion. This is just something of which to take note.
Yeah, exactly. It's just taking notes. Perceiving is just perceiving. So if you look around your environment, I want you to notice a difference between, for example, I'm looking outside my windows. The moment that I say, I see trees, I'm judging. I'm making a story about what I'm seeing. I'm not moralizing. I'm not saying it's good or bad. That would be another layer of judgment. But I'm categorizing things. I'm judging it. I see trees. Versus just actually taking in my direct perception. How many do this with their horn playing? Good tone, bad tone, thick tone, thin tone, missed that note, didn't miss that note. Versus just actually hearing what's coming out of the bell without judging it. Anybody else? No, the rest of you are all Buddhist saints. No. Yeah, Rod's over there. I'm just listening. I'm just listening. Just perceiving. What I'm going to do now is have you watch your breath for 1 minute. I want you to notice when distraction happens. Oh, a thought happened. I got distracted. Or, oh, I'm trying to control my breath. Or, oh, I'm starting to think about rabbit trail about my breath, or rabbit trail about what I ate today. So I'm just going to start a timer for 1 minute and let you watch your breath. Usually good to close your eyes, less distraction. When you notice distraction, just notice that you're distracted and come back to watching your breath. Okay, Owen, what was your experience?
My experience was that I started out smooth, and then I was like, I wonder if I'm judging this right now. It was like a meta level of judging. Yeah.
Judging if you're judging.
Yeah.
Were you able to catch that and come back to watching your breath?
Yes.
Yeah.
I noticed my heart rate because that wasn't just a sound that was always there. I'm going, well, is it going down? Is it going up? Yeah. Just steady.
So you were wondering, there was wondering happening about
There
your
was
heart
wondering.
rate.
Yeah.
And were you able to notice that as distraction and come back to watching your breath?
Actually, I was noticing my breath pretty much all the way through that too.
Got it. So there's a difference between subtle distraction and gross distraction.
Right.
Gross distraction is when you completely lose yourself. Whoa, I'm off in la la land thinking about dinner. You don't even realize that you stopped watching your breath.
Right.
And then there's subtle distraction, which is my attention is not fully present on the breath.
Right.
Yeah, good. To be in subtle distraction is actually quite an achievement. So congratulations.
I'm glad that you just gave me the terms to use for that, because I felt like I was kind of teetering between the two. The windows cracked open and I can hear the children on the playground at the school that's in my backyard now. And, they're children on a playground, so they're like screaming bloody murder out there. They're having fun. So I'm just taking deep breaths, and I was subtly distracted by it initially. I was focused on the breath, but I mean, I couldn't unhear the children. And then the children won for a minute. And that's the interesting thing is that's when I heard my yoga teacher's voice kind of pop in my head. And she always has this like conveyor belt analogy for when distractions and thoughts appear. It's like acknowledge it and then put it on the conveyor belt and let it go away. And I hear that sound, but it's like now that I've acknowledged it, I can let it float into the background.
That's right.
Yeah.
Lindsay just, brought up a very good point, acknowledgement. So very often these urges or impulses or distractions arise from within, and they need to be acknowledged in order to let them go. This is one of the main ways that we as musicians get hijacked in practice, is that an emotion will come up like discouragement or frustration or anxiety or even embarrassment or shame, and we'll say, nope, 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 no, 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 it's gonna be fine. Oh, I shouldn't feel discouraged, right? Mars told me to be positive. I shouldn't feel discouraged. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is that if you don't acknowledge it, it's just going to grow in intensity. So our inner experience wants acknowledgement. Jack says shame is huge. And this goes back to the water that we swim in, as far as how our operating system got programmed in the first place. Shame is, toxic shame in particular, is something that probably all of us inherited from our parents, from social environments, from religion, unfortunately, as a force of control, etc. And so once that shame becomes internalized as a process, then it becomes our responsibility to deal with in a healthy way. So once the milk is spilt, all you can do is clean it up. So as we've discovered, we can categorize our thoughts. We can say, oh, I'm controlling right now. Oh, I'm thinking about the children, right? It's like sort of a meta level awareness. Owen, oh yeah, I forgot exactly what Owen said. Oh, I'm judging my judgment, right? It's like, boom, that's a naming and an acknowledging. We're gonna watch our thoughts again. And what I want you to do is I want you to categorize your thoughts. So just categorize. So you'll be watching your breath and thoughts will arise. Most brains will create thoughts in that minute. You could say, thinking about dinner, or wondering why we're doing this, for example, as a way to just summarize, categorize the thought. Let's go for a minute now, watching our thoughts and just categorizing the thoughts that come up and then returning to the breath. All right, start now. Okay, that's 1 minute. So as a personal example, there were a few distractions that arise. One was like, how am I doing, right? So labeled that. Wondering, how is my teaching going? Came back to my breath. And then there was thinking about the next thing. Yeah, you can all drop your categories in the chat if you want. That'd be fun. There was like, oh, the next thing that I have planned. I was like, okay, thinking about the future. A car drove by. I heard the car. Distracted by a car. We've got waiting for birds, feeling, hearing sirens, the conveyor belt. Yeah, Marianne was thinking about the conveyor belt. House creaking, nice one. Wandering to pleasant memories. Wow, like that, Sandy. Dogs, breath, tinnitus, windy noise, breath, dogs, birds, breathe. Has been a minute yet? Yeah, exactly. Thinking about crazy busy morning. Great. So Marcy, I want to bring some awareness to here. Thinking about crazy busy morning, because that's a lot of content, right? So you might try to categorize it even slimmer, because in this you're buying into a story. You're actually indulging a thought here of crazy busy morning. You could just say thinking about my morning, right? Or judging my morning as crazy busy. Something like that might help you to rein in control of this categorization. Fan blowing, rain falling, not coughing. Cool. Blood flowing. 4 kids at home making sounds. Yeah. 4 kids at home making sounds. Still 4 kids at home making sounds. Tightness, wondering. Yeah, wondering what thought. A very good one is, I wonder what thought is going to come up next. That could be a great meditation because it keeps you poised at the gates of your brain. Cool. And by the way, we're building up to some really, really cool stuff here. So there's different kinds of thoughts here, as we've noticed. And you may categorize thoughts in different ways. Quite simply, you can do aversion or craving. Aversion or craving. If anybody can explain what those are? Marcy, what's aversion and craving?
To me, the aversion would be avoidance and,
Uh-huh.
and just trying not to deal with something.
Yeah.
Whereas craving is maybe the wondering and expecting what's going to happen next and what do I want to happen next and
Yeah.
can I control that?
Craving is, I want it. I want it. Yeah. Aversion is, I don't want it. It's that simple. Boy, it would feel really good to fall asleep right now. Craving. I don't want to be doing this meditation right now. Aversion. That's what we do as humans. We move away from pain and towards pleasure. It's our biological imperative. And in the mental scheme of things, aversion and craving are both forms of attachment, as Mark said. It's attachment. And as the Buddha said, attachment is the cause of all suffering. Who here knows about suffering? Show of hands. Anybody not suffered? I'd be really curious. Yeah, right. Yeah. So what if attachment is the cause of suffering? You can have pain, right? But if you have pain and you're not averse to your pain, will you suffer? No, it's just pain. It's just sensation. You're not averse to it. You don't crave it. You're at peace with it. Does anybody know what that at peace point is called? It's a term. It's called equanimity. Equanimity. It's peace. Equanimity. You're neither averse nor you're craving. You're not attached in any sort of way. You are equanimous is the state of equanimity. Equanimity. Yeah, okay. My heart's beating fast. I'm equanimous with that. I missed a note. I neither crave to get the next note right, nor am I averse to missing the next note. No problem. Now, does anybody think that equanimity would screw you up as a horn player? Curious about that. Do we need attachment to getting it right in order to get it right? Yeah, Elizabeth?
My first instinct is just fear that if I'm not attached to a certain outcome, I won't care at all and gibberish will come out.
Oh, yeah. Well, grab your horn. You can do this experiment in silence with Elizabeth. So Elizabeth, is your original sound on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So just play, what's the easiest note you could play? Great. Were you attached to that note coming out?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit. All right. Now, what happens just as a thought experiment if you remove all attachment to playing that note, but you still aim to play that note? No attachment to it coming out at all. What happened to the sound and the response?
It was so relaxed and clear. And
Yes.
yeah.
It was a richer sound. The response was cleaner. There was no hitch, not even the subtlest of hesitations before you played. So how did removing attachment impact your playing?
Positively.
Do you need craving in order to play what you desire?
I would guess this experiment would say no.
Yeah. Let's take are you warmed up?
No.
Okay.
But I can play anyway.
Let's take that high C6 that begins the Lulu excerpt.
Okay.
And I want you to, without any attachment at all, go ahead and play that first bar.
It's very hard to get rid of the attachment.
Aha, good noticing. Cool. That's like your second note of the day. Good job.
Yeah.
Good job. Now, you were pretty on. For a second note of the day, that's a pretty great cold high C. You missed by one harmonic and you immediately shifted up to the correct harmonic. Now, let's add some attachment in and let's add some aversion. So first of all, I really don't want you to miss that C.
Okay.
Yeah. And I want you as well to try on that you do not want to miss that C, because if you miss that C, bad things will happen. You don't want to miss that C. And also you really want to get that C to prove to yourself that you can get it. I know I can get that C. Okay. So
Okay.
let's add some attachment to that C.
Okay, I really want to get this C. So
Yeah.
clear, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. What happened?
I undershot it.
You undershot it and you didn't scoop
And
up.
I didn't even correct it.
You didn't
Yeah.
even correct. Exactly.
So I was like, oh, I didn't get it. It's pointless now.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would this suggest about attachment in horn playing and excellence?
It has no place in the practice room or the stage.
Yeah, it may not help. Anybody have a different experience? Okay. Nobody had a different experience. Jack.
I mean, I tried to imagine myself in Elizabeth's shoes, and I think your first reaction to the prompt was like, aren't I supposed to care about the outcome? And I think maybe Mars is suggesting that there's a more appropriate place to place that caring, as opposed to like in the practice room or on the stage. Like, we want to get the thing right when we decide we're going to play the piece, and we leave that kind of judgment side of it right then and there, and from then on we just like do work, and we practice with observant and with observance and without judgment.
This is a very rich exploration. Barb says, can you care about engaging in the process? Can you care about engaging in the process without caring about the outcome, right? What is care? Is care actually attachment? And thus is care a cause of suffering? We see that in our relationships, for example, right? Parents, has care caused suffering for you? Well, it's also caused love, right? So I don't have an answer about the role of care in horn playing right now. I don't have a pithy solution for you. It's something to explore for yourself. How do we care in the most intelligent way? Yeah, where's motivation if there isn't caring? Something to consider might be the role of compassion in horn playing. So caring about liberation is what compassion is. And so it's kind of like the meta thing. It's being attached to non-attachment in a sense. It's the paradox that drives freedom, because all truths ultimately come from paradox. Caring about not caring, right? It's a paradox that frees. So what we're going to do now, and we're all getting to horn playing, but we need to a little bit without the horn, because it's such a habit creator, is we're going to practice another minute of watching our thoughts. And what I want you to do in this minute is notice aversion or craving, aka notice any attachment as it arises, as a form of categorization like we already practiced. So just Notice. And also notice if peace or equanimity arises. And just be with that. All right. Our minute starts now. All right. Welcome back. The one thing that I noticed was there were a couple times when I was thinking about something. I was thinking about, oh, what we talked about in HRM Plus on Wednesday, blah, blah, blah. It didn't immediately seem like I'm craving something or being averse to something. And then I realized, oh, I'm craving to think about this. I'm craving a solution. I'm craving clarity about this. Aha. And then I could let go of the thinking. So even rumination, even wondering, oh yeah, I wonder what we had for dinner. What'll be for dinner tonight? What am I gonna cook? That's craving. It's craving to find out. That ring a bell for anybody?
I concentrated on the pitch that I wanted to play. And
Just while we
I
were meditating this minute ago?
yes,
Okay.
to see what my body did when I concentrated on that pitch.
Uh-huh.
And until that I could, when I heard that pitch, I felt like I could play that pitch. And, it played. It
Cool.
became what I was doing. I was so concentrated on that.
Cool. Interesting. I want to surface, were you aware that you were in craving?
Well, yes, I believe I was, but I think I was trying to find the process to how I would make that craving become an entity.
And that's craving. So
Yeah.
you're trying to find the process is craving for a process. Do you see that?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you were in craving actually the entire time.
probably. I
Yeah,
suppose.
it's fascinating. Very fascinating. So what you want is to be able to say, hey, that's happening. I'm going to step away from that. Not so you can do it every time. Problem solving's great, but so that you're at choice about whether you do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to be there, but I can't control being there.
Aha. Yes.
I'm controlling it by the pitch, I guess. Because if I can't hear the pitch, if I can't, then I can't, nothing will happen that I want to happen.
Well, you're a little bit inside the problem. And what I'm asking you to do is step outside and notice that even thinking about this as a problem or as an opportunity is you being in unconscious craving.
Well, I guess I have to think about how it would feel to be an unconscious craving.
It feels like thinking that you need to solve a problem.
I guess I'm always there.
Yeah, exactly. And so my invitation today is to wake up that that's a choice, that you actually have a choice to be there or not to be there. And that the possibilities that you can create in your life, when you start to be conscious about that choice, it opens an entire landscape of new possibility. Does that make sense?
I think I have to work on that a little bit.
Yeah, we all do.
I think I like control a lot.
Yeah, you crave control, but what happens when you don't have control? Then
Well,
something
actually, when I don't have control, but I am controlling my impulse not to have control. That's how I have, you know, that's sort of where I'm at.
Yeah,
I have to step back and say, no, I don't want to control that.
yeah. Cool.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. So far we've covered a few things. We've covered watching the breath as an act of perceiving instead of judging. Not controlling the breath, just watching the breath. Everybody remember that? Yeah. We've talked about categorizing and summarizing thoughts. Oh, thinking about my pitch, or judging myself, or feeling bad, or feeling good, right? Categorizing, summarizing thoughts. We've talked about aversion and craving, noticing, ooh, I want something, or ooh, I don't want this. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to invite you just to play horn for 1 minute and 30 seconds. I want you to notice, I want you to watch your thoughts while you play. So your job is not to listen to your playing. Your job is not to have your mind and sheet music. Your job is to be watching your thoughts. Categorize them, notice aversion and craving, notice when you're controlling. Mary and Helen, what came out of the horn? And what kind of thoughts did you have?
Well, when I just played random old stuff, I didn't have thoughts.
Aha.
When I tried playing a piece of music, I had a thought, an aversion thought, whenever something didn't sound very nice.
Aha. So you also, there's, if you can categorize, you can say judging is bad. Right? When crackles happen. Oh, judging.
Yeah.
Judging happening. Okay.
was
And
judging.
judging and aversion are happening.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, isn't it cool when you can just kind of space out, play the horn, and no thoughts come?
The first thing I noticed is there's water in my horn and I didn't like it, but I decided just to leave it there because 1.5 minutes is short.
Okay.
So I guess that's an aversion. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an aversion and it's a choice, right? It's a
Yes.
choice to leave the water because you could also choose to empty the water. Equanimity doesn't mean inaction.
Yeah.
But you could just choose, okay, I empty my water, but I'm not craving or suffering about it.
Right. I didn't
Yeah.
care for it, but I didn't feel awful about it either.
Yeah, great. Yeah, you just, okay, great. I'm going to choose not to empty my water. Yeah, what else?
Yes. A definite preference for playing low rather than high because it felt easy. I didn't want to work
Okay.
hard.
Okay. So there was a craving for ease
Yeah.
and a choice to follow that ease. Any positive sort of experiences of
Positive. Yeah. I was enjoying playing the lower range and this kind of moving on down. Yeah.
okay, cool. I like this. One other share, please. Danny.
I was going through my solo in Jurassic Park, and I kept cracking it, and so I was like thinking about the cracking, and then I got it at the last, but it was funny.
Okay, so you were
And
thinking
then I
about
noticed
the
that I
cracking.
needed oil on my keys, so
Yeah. Okay. And so you were practicing.
I was practicing.
You were practicing. So there was craving for improvement happening.
Yeah.
And you were just indulging that craving.
Yeah.
Ah, yes. Yum, nom, 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 nom. Improvement.
It was delicious.
Yeah, great. All right. So the next step, and this is our final step, and then we'll do bio break, is being with thoughts in a constructive manner. Because it's one thing to notice that it's happening, and it's another thing to engage with it. As a really fun example, if someone physically attacks you, you can say, someone is attacking me. I am equanimous with this. You know, someone is mugging me. I don't know what to do, but I can notice that I am averse to it. Well, there's also how you engage, right? You can run, or if you know self-defense, you can fight, or you can disable the attacker. We need to learn how to engage with our thoughts as well to really be practical about this thing. You could sit in an ashram and meditate all day, but realistically, as horn players, we need to get out in the world. We need to make progress in the practice room. We do care. We do care. And we can't sit on our butts all day long wondering if we should care or if we can care less or care more, what we should care about. It's not going to work. We got to be practical. So once you have the ability to watch your thought, and raise your hand if now you know how to watch your thoughts. Yeah, sorta. Sorta. We can still get swept away in them, but at least you know you can watch them. We got to learn how to engage with our thoughts in a constructive way, because emotions come up, right? Thoughts come up, emotions come up. Thoughts come from the emotions. Who has felt frustrated in their practice room? Has that frustration been accompanied by thoughts? Mary Claude, what kind of thoughts come with when you're frustrated?
Negatives.
Negative. Yeah, negative thoughts. So real quickly, oh man, I wish I had more time for this. But there's a bunch of different kinds of thoughts that can happen. All or nothing thinking, sometimes called black or white thinking. If I'm not perfect, I've failed. I either do it right or not at all. I always miss this note. I never play high easily. That's all or nothing thinking. I never squeak, right? Mental filter, only paying attention to certain types of evidence. I'm inaccurate, right? Because I only notice when I miss notes. The fact is, 80-90% of the notes you play, you get. But we're thinking about the 20% that we miss. Jumping to conclusions. Mind reading, like knowing what others are thinking. Oh no, that I can't play, they won't like it, right? That audience noticed that misnote. The audition committee won't want to hire me. They're gonna think I'm unprofessional. That's all mind reading. Or fortune telling. And by the way, you can, I'm gonna send out these CBT distortions right here. I'm gonna send out the links. And then fortune telling. Yeah, I'm gonna miss this note. A lot of you HRM people fortune tell. When I say, okay, do roll in number 1, you say, well, it hasn't been working for me. I don't think I can do it now. You haven't even tried, but you're telling the fortune. You're a fortune teller. You're looking at your crystal ball. Overgeneralizing. That's seeing a pattern based on a single event and then being overly broad in the conclusions that we draw. Oh, one person turns you down. You say, everybody turns me down. You know, one person doesn't believe in you the way that you want. Nobody believes in me as a horn player. Nothing good ever happens in the practice room. I always miss these notes. Everything is rubbish when I play. Overgeneralizing. Disqualifying the positive, discounting the good things that have happened or that you have done for some reason or another. Well, yeah, I showed up to practice. I've got a functioning embouchure. I know how to breathe well. I have good, decent pitch. There's so many things happening, but my tone's bad. That's disqualifying the positive. Minimizing and catastrophizing. Magnifying and minifying. That's blowing things out of proportion. Oh my God! I missed that note. How could I have that? Oh, it's the end of me. It's the end of my career. I got an injury. Oh, I'm never going to recover. Or shrinking something to make it seem less important. Well, yeah, okay, I got it right, but it was just that one time. It doesn't matter, right? Okay, yeah, sure, I got it in office hours when Mars coached me, but that doesn't really matter. Emotional reasoning. This is a big one for us emotional musicians. Assuming that because we feel a certain way, that what we think is true. I feel discouraged, thus I'm never going to get it. I feel frustrated, thus I can't do it. I feel ashamed, so I must be an idiot. I must be unworthy. Our emotions are just generating these frankly toxic or wounded thoughts, and we're believing them. It's called emotional reasoning. And this is a big one for horn players, because we have a lot of emotions when we play, most of us. Labeling, assigning labels to ourselves or other people. I'm a loser, I'm useless, I'm bad at high playing, I'm inaccurate, I have bad tone, right? Labeling our tone, bad tone, that's labeling. That's a cognitive distortion. It's not actually true in any sort of measurable way, if you really think about it. And then the whole thing that inspired me is the should or must here that Mark put. Craving and aversion often involves the way should. I should play that way, I shouldn't play that way. We don't want to should on ourselves, y'all. What I like is called the should slide. Should, can, will, now. Put that in the chat. Should, can, will, now. If you really should do something, that means you can do it. If you can do it, and you should do it, that means you will do it. And if you will do it, how about now? And if you can't go down the should slide, then just cut the should out, because you're bullshitting yourself. And then finally, personalizing, blaming yourself for taking responsibility for something that wasn't completely your fault. So, for example, you might miss a note in an audition and think, oh, I'm terrible. But actually, there's a whole environment in an audition that creates a lot of tension. It's very, very hard to thrive in an audition environment. It's just extremely hard. And you know, conductors as well, for those that don't take audition, you could have a conductor, you could have colleagues that as soon as you get in front of those people and they give the downbeat from hell and you hesitate and you think, oh, I'm a hesitator, and so it's my fault, I always hesitate, I shouldn't have done that, right? But actually, it's just you got the downbeat from hell. It's not your fault. You just couldn't make sense of this terrible downbeat. So those are some ways that we have distorted thinking. Now, when distorted thinking arises, you can challenge it, right? Or you can just notice it. Honestly, sometimes just noticing it is enough. Zooming out, naming, oh, distortion is happening, right? So we can also choose thoughts. I'm reading a book right now that'll go in the resources. It's called The Choice, Embrace the Possible. It's by Dr. Edith Eger, and it's about her experience in the Holocaust. And I mean, what an environment, right? And a number of Holocaust survivors, like Viktor Frankl, for example, in Man's Search for Meaning, have talked about that there was one thing that couldn't be taken from them. They could take their food, they could take their clothes, right? There's a lot that could be done physically, but they couldn't take the thoughts that they chose. Yeah, couldn't take the reactions that they chose. And the choice that you have in every moment is the thoughts that you think. And sometimes it takes going through something really painful to discover that. I hope not. So a thought, for example, that Dr. Eger would think is, if I can just survive today, tomorrow I'll be free. When people spat on her, she would think, She wouldn't think I want my revenge or what a horrible person. She would visualize that person coming to her with a bouquet of roses and apologizing and saying, I see your humanity now. So imagine the band directors, the colleagues that we in our mind have chosen to malign and think negative thoughts about, to be angry towards, to be anxious about. That's within our control. Think about the situations that you've visualized and worried about. Terence McKenna says, worry is a misuse of the imagination. And it's your choice what you imagine. And to say, oh no, I can't, all I can do is think about how bad it's gonna go, or that's being a victim. That's being a victim. That's not owning your power to choose. Now, everybody does this, okay? I'm not saying that you're less than for doing that. You're human for doing that. But you can also claim your power in every moment to choose your thoughts, to choose your reaction, to use your imagination for good. We on board with that? Any protests, challenges to that? It's open game. Anybody want to challenge that or ask a question about that? Yeah, Kara.
I really like what you're saying, and it makes sense. I'm still trying to figure out how to apply it to real life situations. I had a situation recently where I ended up kind of being forced into playing principal horn for a concert because people were sick or couldn't make it, and it was Chike 5, and then we were playing also this piece that had a bunch of high horn, and I hadn't practiced like a whole ton leading up till I found out. I know it's cliche, but like it would go well at home, and then the rehearsal would come and it would be like I would be try to be positive and then still miss like the super high long B flat at the end of the Sibelius Karelia suite, and it would just be like instant like stress.
Yeah.
So how do you process that in the moment in rehearsal?
That's a really great question. And this is why we can't only work at the level of our minds. Because very often what's happening in our mind is actually the outcropping of a embodied emotional reaction happening. If you're extremely anxious, trying to play whack-a-mole with all the anxious thoughts that are happening, they're just going to keep happening, and you're just going to keep having to whack-a-mole with them. Until you actually ask underneath, hey, what am I feeling right now? And you go, oh, I'm feeling anxious.
Yeah.
And then you allow yourself to feel the feeling. So Kara, if you're willing, what would you say was the feeling that was most prominent underneath all of that thinking and stuff?
Like terror in my whole torso,
Terror.
tightness.
Yeah, that's so real. So I want you to actually just acknowledge it for a second. Hey, I was feeling terror. How does it feel to acknowledge that and bring some compassion to it?
Kind of validating, I guess.
Yeah, and it's all the way back to the beginning when I said if we don't acknowledge and validate the core of our experience, it will persist. What you resist will persist. Who's felt terror with a horn in their hands before? Yep, me too, me three. So what I want you to do, and everybody who's felt terror before, what I want you to do is I want you to actually just let yourself feel it for a second. You can imagine the scenario and you can feel it, and you can let the feelings sort of come online in your body and start to notice and perceive and not resist it, right? Be in equanimity with the feelings of the terror. You can breathe. Body might shake. That's okay if it shakes, let it shake. And what do you notice, Kara? What's happening in your body?
I'm still just processing the kind of shaky feeling, and I guess it's still there, but it's not growing. So
Yeah. What physically do you notice in your body?
Kind of constricted breathing.
Okay.
I tend to get a little trembly, like
Yeah.
when I'm nervous.
Yeah, great. So like go really, really deeply into that experience if you can. The trembles, the shakies, the constricted breathing. And just be present with it in a compassionate way. Breathe with it. Kind of sending the message, I'll stay with you as long as you need. How's that going for you?
Good. It feels more peaceful, more compassionate. So-
Yeah. And I'm sure, is that a daughter that you have back there?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
riding her scooter and doing projects.
So I'm sure that there's been probably a time in her life when she's been scared or upset, and you've just held her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and in that moment, you're like, yeah, you just like you should be scared as long as you need. Like I'm with you, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, what's that like for you in that moment?
When I am giving the hug,
Yeah.
it's really wonderful. It feels like I can be the one to help comfort her and that she's
Yeah.
gonna be safe. She doesn't think she's safe, but I know she's safe. So.
Yeah. So you can hold yourself like that when the terror happens.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's not an overnight thing, but if you build that over time, and I need to get Edward House in here to do a presentation about chronic complex post-traumatic stress disorder and musicians, CPTSD. But basically what's happening is that you were having an emotional flashback to emotions that were created throughout your youth, your formative times. And you can repattern those flashbacks by holding them as you would hold a child.
Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
And then no more terror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was definitely a point where I remember in high school I loved playing. I didn't care what anyone thought. I just loved the joy of playing. And then
right.
like as soon as college came, and then it was like
Yeah.
the perfectionism.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a lot of processing that happened in there.
Yeah, but you can get back to that innocent place with the addition of the a power, a consciousness to it, rather than being unconsciously innocent. You're consciously innocent. It's beautiful.
Oh,
It's
okay.
beautiful. Mary Claude, did you want to say something? I see your hands raised. No? Okay. So that's really the component. So what I want to do, I know we're getting kind of long, but this is important stuff, is I want you to get your horn and just notice as you get your horn what feelings and thoughts start to arise. You might already notice feelings. And I want you to feel those feelings fully. And if you're not feeling your feelings in this moment, you can ask yourself, what feelings am I feeling? If you're having thoughts, ask yourself, what sort of thoughts am I having? And we're going to do a minute 30 of playing again. And this time, rather than just watching your thoughts, I want you to get curious. And if you have a thought that feels like it's connected to emotion, ask yourself, what emotion am I feeling? And feel that feeling. If you're having a thought that's a distortion, say, hey, that's a distortion. I'm not going to take that on. Choose your thoughts this time. Choose your thoughts. Choose your reality. Choose curiosity, all right? Let's hit it for a minute 30. All right, bravo, everybody. Curious if a couple people can share about how that was, and then I'll open the floor for questions, and then we'll do bio break. Jason, I find myself wondering about your experience with that.
What do you want to know?
What was your experience like? What'd you notice?
Uh, I noticed that I didn't care, like when would make a mistake or what wasn't correct, because I was playing a piece that I know, but I was like, oh, well, whatever. And then when I couldn't remember any more of the piece because I don't have it perfectly memorized, I just started kind of playing around, and it was kind of fun, and I was just exploring, and that was okay.
Great. Did you notice any moments of distorted thoughts?
Well, yeah, I mean, when I was playing the first lick, like I cracked a note and I was like, oh, that's not how that's supposed to be.
Uh-huh. 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 And how did you meet that distorted thought?
I just acknowledged it and moved on.
Great. Good work. Yep. Cool. One more experience share maybe? Nancy, I'm so curious what your experience was like, if you're willing.
When I played, I was concentrating on the pretty sound that can come out instead of did I miss a note? And it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was more fun playing rather than, oh my word, I messed up some, it was a different mindset completely
Yeah.
than the norm for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the operating system upgrade right there. Jane says she's interested in how that relates to the concept of flow. There you go. That's the flow state. I'm curious if anybody noticed any emotions and was able to get curious. Oh, what am I actually feeling right now underneath that thought?
I decided to just do it on the B flat open horn because then I knew there would be no wrong notes.
Uh-huh.
And I had, I was just improvising. And yes, I managed to do wrong notes because they weren't the ones in my head. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, oh.
Ah,
And I was like, you know something? It's okay. And I let it go. And then I
I
did a
see.
little perfect perfect wrong note sort of thing. And I just riffed on the thing that did come out.
It sounds like you made a choice to kind of like move through and past the emotion and then
Well, yeah.
boom, integrate. When that kind of sound you made, what emotion is that?
It was a little frustration, disappointment.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay,
really?
cool.
Really?
Cool. So that's something that can be fun as well. Say, oh, it's frustration and disappointment. Oh, frustration and disappointment. Okay. Yeah, okay. I acknowledge you. You're welcome here for a minute, right? Thank you, everybody. This is some real powerful work, and it doesn't integrate in a day, but if you keep it up, it'll be real, real good.